Cape Breton, this area, is really known for its fishing more than anything else, and tourism. We're just across the river from the famous Cabot Trail, which goes around into the highlands. Very, very beautiful, incredible drive. Mountain cliffs, water, whales, and it's also just a wonderful place to live. People are wonderful, the culture is wonderful, the music, they have wonderful traditional music here as well. Larch Wood manufactures wooden cutting boards, end grain cutting boards. End grain because the grain patterning is beautiful, and because the fibers are going vertical and end grain, they self-heal, they pull back together because you're just separating the fibers with your knife. So I took them to market. I think the first show I took them to was in early 2005, and people loved them, and we just ran with it. Why larch wood? Well, we use the larch tree. Larch is a very interesting wood. It's called the deciduous conifer. It's a needled tree, but it loses its needles in the winter. But we chose larch because the Latin name is Larix, Larcena, and commonly known to foresters, it's called the larch. There's a lot of steps in making a cutting board. We start at our mill. It gets milled into boards. It gets put in the kiln, stickered and put in the kiln so air can pass through and between the boards so they'll dry evenly. From the kiln it goes to the pop-up saw. On the pop-up saw it gets cut into different lengths depending on what size cutting boards we're making. From the cut-off saw it moves over to the planer, and this planes it on all four sides, and then it goes into the rip saw, and the rip saw starts to cut it into the sizes that we need for the cutting board, the individual sizes. But that's not quite exact enough, and goes from there into the molder, and the molder makes it very exact. Makes everything just perfect. So from there it goes to the clamp carrier for the first gluing. The guys who do that are looking at the ends of each stick, and they're looking at those sticks to determine the patterning that's going to be in the cutting board. So some might have been fast growing, some might have been slower growing, and they do this wonderful mix of grain patterning. Once they're out of the clamp carrier, they get sent down to the second room. And the second room is where it gets processed further. It goes through a planer to get all the glue off and get the surface cleaned perfectly. From there, it goes to the table saw. One end has been squared off, and the guy on the table saw if he's making a 2-inch thick board, he's cross-cutting it into 2 inches thick and stands those pieces on end. And he passes them over to Milton, who does the second gluing. Once that's done, you actually start to see what those boards are going to look like. They still have glue on them. You can no longer plane them once they're end grain. So they have to go through thickness sanders. From there they go to the finish sanders and routing. They round the edges, they do pilot holes for the feet, and they sand the heck out of them with 3 different grades of sandpaper again. From there they go into the finish room where they get 2 coats of food grade mineral oil and a 3rd coat of a beeswax mineral oil mixture. They get the feet put on them, they get packed up and shipped off to the customers. Our cutting boards are so unique, I would say mainly because of the wood that we work with. The larch is a beautiful, bold grain patterning and really varied. The wood is, there's many different mini climates in Cape Breton, so some of those trees grow really slowly and other ones grow really quickly, and not only are they beautiful, but there's a really wonderful story to them. When you buy a board from us, you should expect to end up with something that you're going to enjoy using. It's going to be a focal point in your kitchen, and you're going to be able to pass it on to your children.